ASMR reality. Tonight, we are going to discuss UFOs. I have had several requests for this video, and recently, let me check. Trigger Happy 1-year-old. He requested it last, and he actually brought up the name David Grusch. David Grusch is a whistleblower, and he asked my opinion on this, so I thought it was an interesting topic, and UFOs have been in the news a lot recently, so I thought this would make for an interesting video. So let me read a little bit about David Grusch to you real quick so you can understand who he is and what's going on. In 2023, United States Air Force officer and former intelligence officer David Grusch was interviewed by various media outlets and testified in a U.S. House of Representatives congressional hearing. Grusch claimed that he had conversations with unnamed officials that led him to believe that the U.S. federal government maintains a secretive UFO recovery program and is in possession of a non-human spacecraft along with their dead pilots. In 2022, he filed a whistleblower complaint with the U.S. Office of the Intelligence Community Inspector General to support his plan to share classified information with the U.S. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. He also filed a complaint alleging retaliation by his superiors over a similar complaint he made in 2021. He claims to have viewed documents reporting that Mussolini's government recovered a non-human spacecraft in 1933, which the Vatican and the Five Eyes assisted the U.S. in procuring in 1944 or 1945. He claims secondhand knowledge that American citizens have been harmed and killed as part of the government's efforts to cover up the information. In response to his 2023 claims, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, and the U.S. Department of Defense issued statements reaffirming that no evidence of extraterrestrial life has been discovered and that there is no verifiable information about anyone possessing and reverse engineering any extraterrestrial materials. In July 2023 testimony given to the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability, he repeated some of his claims under oath, alongside testimony from retired U.S. fighter pilot Ryan Graves and retired U.S. Navy Commander David Fravor on their personal experiences related to UFOs. He testified that he could not elaborate publicly on some aspects of his claims, but offered to provide further details to representatives in a sensitive compartmented information facility called a SCIF. That's where they talk about classified information at the House of Representatives. So who is he? He is a decorated Afghanistan combat veteran and former Air Force intelligence officer who worked in the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, the NGA, and the National Reconnaissance Office from 2019 to 2021. He was the representative of the NRO to the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force from late 2021 to June 22. He was the co-lead for UAP, unidentified. The UAP stands for unidentified something. I can't remember what UAP. Unidentified aerial phenomena. He was analysis at the NGA and its representative to the task force. He assisted in drafting the National Defense Authorization Act of 2023, which includes provisions for reporting UFOs, including whistleblower protections, an exemption to non-disclosure orders and agreements, congressional interest in UFO sightings immediately prior to his public claims surrounded questions about the 4 objects that the Air Force shot down in February 2023. On June 5th, 2023, this is his public claims. On June 5th, 2023, independent journalists Leslie Keane and Ralph Blumenthal provided a story detailing Grusch's claims of a UFO cover-up by the government to The Debrief, a website that describes itself as self-funded and specializing in frontier science. The New York Times and Politico declined to publish the story while the Washington Post was taking more time to conduct fact-checking than Keane and Blumenthal felt could be afforded because, according to Keane, people on the internet were spreading stories. Dave was getting harassing phone calls, and we felt the only way to protect him was to get the story out. According to Keane, she vetted Grusch by interviewing Carl Neal, a retired Army colonel who was also on the UFO task force, and Jonathan Gray, whom Keane described as a current U.S. intelligence official at NASA. Keane wrote that Neal called Grusch beyond reproach and that both Neal and Gray supported Grusch's claim about a secret UFO retrieval and reverse engineering program. Also on June 5th, portions of an interview by Grusch by Ross Coulter aired on News Nation, with additional excerpts appearing on June 11th. Grusch's claims that the U.S. federal government maintains a highly secretive UFO retrieval program and possess multiple spacecraft of non-human origin, as well as corpses and deceased pilots. Grusch also claims there is substantive evidence that white-collar crime took place to conceal UFO programs, and that he had interviewed officials who said that people had been killed to conceal the program. He stated that he tried to get the director of AARO to help him share his claims with Congress. I expressed some concerns to Dr. Kirkpatrick about a year ago and told him what I was starting to uncover, and he didn't follow up with me. Grusch elaborated on his claims in a subsequent interview with the French newspaper Le Parisien on June 7th. He said that UFOs could be coming from extra dimensions, that he had spoken with intelligence officers from the U.S. military, had briefed on football field-sized crafts, that the U.S. government transferred some crashed UFOs to a defense contractor, and that there was malevolent activity by UFOs. During a July 26, 2023 hearing, Grusch said that he was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash, retrieval, and reverse engineering program to which I was denied access, and that he believes that the U.S. government is in possession of UAP based on his interviews with 40 witnesses over 4 years. Sorry, I gotta get something to drink. Okay. Grusch claimed in response to congressional questions that the U.S. has retrieved non-human biological matter from the pilots of the crafts, that this was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the UAP program I talked to that are currently still on the program. When asked by U.S. Representatives Tim Burchett during this hearing if Grusch had personal knowledge of people who've been harmed or injured in efforts to cover up or conceal the government's possession of extraterrestrial technology, Grusch said yes, but that he was not able to provide details except within a skiff. BBC Radio 4's The World Tonight on August 3rd interviewed Grusch along with his attorney Charles McCullough, a former intelligence community inspector general. When asked about the U.S. having intact and partially intact alien vehicles in its possession, Grusch repeated his claims, and McCullough noted that Congress should have access to the information it needs to properly oversee things going on in the executive branch. So, what are my thoughts on this? Well, I certainly, prior to this, my feeling on UFOs was that the universe is just so big. I mean, we look out at the night sky and we can see stars, but with our telescopes and our satellites, I mean, we have been able to, we can see so far out into the cosmos, and we know that there are similar planets to ours. And if you think about, just look at our own evolution as a species, and we know that some of the planets out there are much older than ours, some are younger than ours, but some are much older. So imagine that the Earth is 1,000 years older than it is today. Imagine what Earth will be like in 1,000 years. How much will we evolve? I mean, just look back 50 years ago. I would not have, I'm talking to a screen right now on a microphone. None of that, none of this existed. I would not be able to. I mean, did we have TV 50 years ago? Yeah, we had TV 50 years ago, but definitely not 70 years ago or 100 years ago. So just imagine we're 1,000 years older. What is technology going to be like in 1,000 years? Or 10,000 years? And some of these planets are 100,000 years older than ours. So imagine the advancements that we will have in time. It's likely that we will be able to do interplanetary travel. Just all sorts of things that we will have that seem impossible today. I mean, if 100 years ago you told somebody that you would pull a little square box out of your pocket and be able to look at somebody in the exact instant in another country by using airwaves, a cell phone, they would have thought you were stupid. And 200 years ago, if you told people you were going to get on a tube and fly from one place to another, they would have just thought you're dreaming. In fact, the word lunatic, think about lunar, meaning the moon. The word lunatic was invented for people that said man would make it to the moon someday. So that just tells you that there was a time that no one would believe that we have done the things we've already done. And it stands to reason that they won't believe, we can't believe today the things that they will do in the future, but they will happen, likely, So I have always thought that there's got to be other life out there. As far as us having it, well, you may likely the most popular crash ever, or supposed crash, is the Roswell, New Mexico crash. And that, to me, when I think about that crash, it's interesting because after that crash, our technology spiked. So to me, the reverse engineering claim, we likely got so much technology from that crash that we were able to reverse engineer, which helped propel our technological revolution. So I do believe that this is the truth. I mean, look at all the stuff that we're lied to about by our governments. Why wouldn't they lie about this? Think about the ramifications. If, for example, a UFO landed here today, and just think about, our religions, for example, immediately, I mean, these creatures would likely say, what are these books? They likely would, they would likely have no clue what those books are they would just think they were goofy. And obviously none of the religious texts that we have reference other life. And so it would be a shock to a lot of people. It would cause a lot of things that we believe today to be proven wrong. And I think that this is the primary reason why our governments would want to hide it, because they want things to continue as they are. They always, I think our government thinks of the citizenry as idiots, as stupid, and so they don't think we can handle it. They don't think we can handle the truth, and likely some of us can't. There would be people that would, if a UFO landed here, there would be people that would deny it even if they seen it. They just don't want to mess up their own worldview of what reality is. And so, yeah, ultimately, yes, I believe it. The other thing I think about is, why would this guy come forward, pretty much risk his life, definitely risk his reputation, to try to get this information to the rest of us? What does he stand to gain other than to look like an idiot? I mean, truly, the people that don't believe him just think he's an idiot and a liar. What good does it do him? It doesn't do anything for him. It's not like he wasn't already an important person. This type of attention isn't healthy for him. Certainly there's people that consider him a hero for doing this, but the majority of people, I think, consider him a quack. So I don't think he did it for fame. I mean, most of you have probably never heard his name. When it was brought to my attention, I knew these hearings were going on about UFOs, but I didn't know his name. I didn't pay attention to who was the whistleblower. So again, I don't think he would do this to just try to get attention, to get his name in the news for a couple days. I think he knows, and he feels that the American people and the people of the world have a right to know, and we do. We have a right to the truth. We have a right to know, and that's the part that bothers me the most. I also think another thought that I have is that when we look at things like the pyramids in Egypt, we still to this day we cannot explain how those were built. Not even with the technology we have today could we replicate these. We could, but it would take so much effort, and with our machinery, it would be an absolutely unbelievable undertaking to replicate these things. How they made these amazing cuts in these stones and traveled so far from these quarries that were miles and miles away, and then getting those stones up in the air. Yes, there's all sorts of theories out there, but nothing that really makes any sense. Not how they were cut, maybe how they lifted. I mean, they've all sorts of theories of how they got lifted up, but how they cut those stones and how they transported those stones, it's truly, it likely was maybe something crashed here, and they were using those as some sort of way to try to send signals out to their either mothership or to their planet where they were from. I don't know, but to me that makes more sense, that some sort of extraterrestrial being, some group of them created those, and then later the Egyptians actually used them as places to be entombed. That to me makes more sense, that yes, the Egyptians were there, yes, the Egyptians put hieroglyphics in them, but did they build them? I don't know. I think it's a more probable theory. If you say life on other planets is real, then that's a more probable theory as to how they got built with advanced technology that even today we don't have. So that makes the most sense to me. But what's interesting to me is that they have not ever really attacked us. So again, this more advanced civilization likely maybe has monitored us, but obviously they've not intervened in ways that at least we're aware. I know there's some people that talk about lizard people, and maybe they are here, but they're disguised. But that one to me is a little bit more far-fetched. I saw something recently where you could only see these crafts with thermal imaging, and this was just released like a day or two ago. And it was, one of my dogs are doing something here. Anyway, these crafts can only be seen with thermal imaging, and you can see them clear as day in this video. They're there. And so again, these are like advanced machinery. There's videos of some of them like going into the water and making movements that none of our crafts can do to this day. I know that in the past, like, some things that have been seen have been experimental, top secret government crafts, but the ones that we've recorded, there's no way, making movements that there's just nothing that is even on our remote radar as far as future technology that we could do as a civilization. So I think they're out there, and I don't know, I'm curious what you guys think. So I hope you found this interesting. At least you know my thoughts now on UFOs. So hope you have a good night, and I will see you on the next one.